Hey guys, it's Jenstine. Welcome to the second episode of Dear Jenstine, where Jenstar send in their questions and stories and we answer them. Today, we are playing Eviction Notice with our Super Jenstars, and if you'd ever like to join our game nights, click the join button under this video. Now, let's get started. Dream asks, Dear Jenstine, I'm always thinking of my future. For example, I'd ask myself if I'll be successful in life. I don't want to disappoint my family or anyone. I just panic every minute. Yeah, I totally agree, because sometimes I feel like when we look at the overall picture of life, like from start to end, we're like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do in the future? What is the job I'm gonna have? That gets so overwhelming, but it's honestly not even useful to worry about that kind of stuff. Instead, I think it's important to focus on what you can control right now, which is your present moment. And if you really focus on those achievements on a smaller scale, like step by step, it can be a lot less overwhelming and instead much easier to attain. And I definitely understand what you mean by not wanting to disappoint your family. And one thing I would advise is, although making your family proud is a good source of motivation, please don't let that be burdensome for you, because ultimately this is your life. And so if you live your whole life trying to make your family happy and decide to give up your passions just to chase what they think is successful, that might not necessarily lead to a successful life for yourself. There's a lot of different definitions of success. I would say making your family proud is a good motive, but it shouldn't be your only motive. Like, you should also be willing to do things that make you happy, because sometimes, you know, if you really think about the most successful people in the world, most of them are people who took risks and didn't do things that were conventionally successful, but they just had like a passion and really turned that into their profession. And I'd say that success has a lot of different definitions. Like, do you want to be successful in a certain field or career, or do you want to be successful with your relationships, maybe your own health? It's important to think about the different areas of your life and not stay super focused on one thing, because that way, if you're much more well balanced in all the different areas, you'll be a lot more fulfilled. I feel like a lot of people, if they only have one successful part of their lives, they kind of feel sad. They're like, oh, I wish this part was more successful. So I feel like it's a matter of focusing on your goals, but also making sure that other things like your health and relationships, your mental health is also very important. Yeah. Next question, Ruby asks, Dear Jenstine, a few months ago, because of COVID being so bad, I've had to move far away where there weren't as many cases, which therefore meant that I had to move away from all of my friends. I've struggled with making friends, and it's even worse that everybody seems to know each other. What is your advice with making friends? So I totally get where this question is coming from, because actually we had to move schools before, and I definitely understand how difficult it can be to really walk into a new environment and just like see a sea of completely unfamiliar faces. And that's going to be the case for many times in life, like not only maybe if you move schools, but also just in general if you move to a different environment. But I really want to let you know that you shouldn't let this new environment hold you back. So my first advice on making friends is to join clubs and find people with similar interests. So maybe you guys like the same music, maybe you guys play the same games. If you guys have similar interests, that is automatically a very natural way for you to bond with someone. And regarding the environment, you don't want your environment to be excuse for you to be like, oh, because I'm new, I am a shy girl. Don't let that be an excuse for you. And I want you to understand that you're not the only one who's scared, and there might be other people who see, you know, you as a new girl, and they might be interested in you and want to get to know you, but because they're kind of also shy and they are comfortable with their old friend group, they might be scared to reach out to you. So I would definitely say that try not to let the fear make you shy forever at your new school, and really try reaching out to others, and as Jen said, joining clubs and after school programs. Yeah, I'd say overall, if you start off with joining clubs, finding people with similar interests, that will naturally help you reach out to people. I'd say in this case, the hardest part is really starting to reach out to people, but after that, it can be really natural. So just try to reach out and explore what you can at your new school. Aries asks, Dear Jenstine, I had an exam yesterday and I'm freaking out on what mark I got. Can you tell me what to do when you freak out? Girl, I totally understand you with exam stress, and I have encountered this many times before, and I want you to think of the situation in this way. So right now, as you're waiting for your exam to come out, you can do one of two things. One, you can spend all those hours drowning yourself in fear and worrying about something that you can't change, or you can try to find a way to put your mind off of it. Obviously, you can't really change what you did on the test, you already handed it in, but I definitely know from past experience that it's really not worth hurting your mental health over anxiety over a test grade. Oka says, Dear Jenstine, I really want to share my stories that I wrote in my journal, but I don't know how or where to put them. I could start a YouTube channel, but my mom won't let me. Yeah, actually, this is really similar to our experience, because when we were younger, we also always wrote stories in our journals. And actually, if you've seen the video, like how we make our series, we actually explain that frenemies, like the idea of frenemies, started many years ago. Like, it was just like a small story written in one of my journals, and then I kind of pulled it up like years later, like, oh, I kind of like the premise of this. Now definitely I needed to change some of the writing and stuff like that, but the ideas you have as a little kid can be really creative. And so I would recommend, Oka, if you really like writing stories, keep them up and make sure you keep them for the future, because maybe one day when your mom lets you actually start a YouTube channel, you'll be able to turn those ideas into real stories and maybe even make them better. So I would say, don't feel discouraged on writing stories, keep them maybe right now. Also, if you can't put your stories out there on a YouTube channel, I would recommend looking at writing contests, because oftentimes many schools have those. Maybe you can reach out to your English teacher or anyone else who might be able to look online for some, and there are usually a lot in a town, so look out for those and really look for ways to put your work out there so you can receive feedback and grow as a writer. Alright, next question is from Dorothy. She asks, Dear Jenstine, when I'm in an online class and I get a social media notification, I can't help but click it. Like literally right now I'm supposed to be doing work. When I get bored or find the assignment hard, I can't help but open up TikTok and start watching videos. Even when I turn off notifications, I just keep going on my phone and end up having to ask my friends what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah, very clearly I think in this case the root of this problem is having your phone next to you when you work. I think there is some sort of study that says like if you have your phone on your desk right next to you, you lose a lot of concentration because your mind is thinking like, oh, you can get so much immediate gratification from your phone right on your table. And so my advice is to literally put that phone out of you, like put it in another room. Literally don't put it next to you, especially during online school when there are already so many distractions on the computer as well. I also know that there are a lot of apps out there that help you focus by gamifying your reduction of screen time. So I don't know the exact names, but I know there is one app where you can make your own flower garden, and the more time you spend away from your phone and not checking notifications, the more your flowers will grow, and at the end you can have this big beautiful lovely garden and share it with your friends. So that is one thing you can do, and if you ever go on your phone, your flowers die, and that's really sad. So that's basically one way you can do it. Having apps like that will help you if you really feel like you need your phone next to you. But I think the best thing is just getting your phone out of sight, because when you're doing homework, you you only need your Chromebook or your notebook. You don't need your phone, because usually your phones have like your class group chat and then they make memes about what's going on and it gets really distracting. I totally get it. So that's it for this episode of Dear Jenstine. If you want to submit your own questions or stories, access the form through our YouTube membership or Discord server. Make sure to give this a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed this series, and we'll talk to you guys in our next episode. Bye!